Return to Fantasy, which is a very good record, in my opinion, with some caveats. After Wonderworld, they lose their not original bassist, not from the first, but a very, very good bassist, Gary Van, who had very beautiful melodic bass lines, very, very well put in the song. So you don't find a bassist like him every day. He's like, I don't want to say Steve Harris, but what Steve Harris could be if he would hold himself in check a little bit. So very, very melodic, very with the melody, right? Not like the metal bands where the bass is underneath and more with the rhythm and the drums, but in a subdued, non-intrusive way. So you listen and you taste it. It's really good. So they lost that, and they got a bass player who, in my opinion, for Uriah Heep, is a little bit too proggy. And his name is John Wetton. Of course, if you know this channel, you know that I'm a big fan. So the bottom line is that they got a record which sounds good, sounds pretty good. It has a few great songs and some songs that could be greater. All in all, I think it's in the good to great neighborhood of records. The opening, Return to Fantasy, is a beautiful song with heavy big vocals and keyboards. Shady Lady is listenable. Devil's Daughter is not bad. Beautiful Dream is a good song. Prima Donna. And of course the big song is the last one, the closer, A Year or a Day. Great song. All in all, you can't really hear Wetton's contributions that much, and I don't remember if he contributed to the songwriting, but he's an expert musician. So this is the story of Return to Fantasy. In my opinion, if you're a big Heep fan, you should have it. If not, nothing else, those 3 or 4 real great songs on it. There's a good sound and a very good example of a band being able to go back and do what they're most known for, what the fans expect most out of them, but without being redundant, without making a cheap copy of, let's just say, Demons and Wizards and Magician's Birthday. So in that aspect, it's almost it almost sounds like it can go back among the first 5 records, let's just say, that constitute the pantheon of Uriah Heep, if you will. And then another sad episode in the band's long and tortuous history is this guy, High and Mighty, whose idea was to turn a P08 Luger into an airplane. I don't know, probably hypnosis. Someone was bored over there, and they just came up with this idea. And the contents of the record are not much better than the album cover. So it's not High, it's not Mighty. And unfortunately, this would be the last record with David Byron, and also the last one with John Wetton. John Wetton did contribute to the writing, and honestly, the songs are not bad at all. I would say that all the songs here are good, at least in potential. I can't say that there is one song that is outright bad, but the sound is not that good, the production is not that good. Everything could be improved. You can feel that there's a lack of enthusiasm. They could have been proud, they could have waited, make this record, record it with a little bit more gusto, and it would have been way better. But they release it like this, and this is one that a lot of Heep fans and people who know Heep cite as their least favorite Uriah Heep album. So let's go back again to Long Island and check out a crazy, insane live album. I love this record, and this is not a great live album in the way that you would mention Unleashed in the East or Made in Japan. In fact, in that area, I think it leaves something to be desired. I think it could have been recorded better. 75, it was already after the Stone Age. People knew how to record live albums, maybe not like today. But great version. You can capture the madness of the band on stage. They change the songs a little bit. They don't just play them exactly like on the record. Incredible version of Last Days of May. Great Cities on Flame. Claim Hot Rails to Hell. There is a kind of a jam session in the middle. Seven Screaming Disbusters. Before the Kiss. Good. So all. They do a cover of I Ain't Got You and a cover of Born to Be Wild. So things that are not on the album. Very good live record, in my opinion. This is sort of the live record that has been recorded live, but it kind of almost qualifies to be a title in their studio records. Then comes the one that pretty much everyone in the non-BOC fan realm loves, even if they don't love the record itself. Sorry about the noise, but everybody knows probably their most famous song, "Don't Fear the Reaper." And I don't know to what degree there was a conscious effort to sound more commercial or to be more commercial. I don't fully agree with this accusation of them selling out, quote unquote, or going commercial. I love the opening song, "This Ain't the Summer of Love." True Confessions, another one, another kind of typical Blue Oyster Cult jokey kind of song. ETI, it's okay, not grand. Revenge of Vera Gemini is a good song, I like it. Sinful Love, not bad. Tattoo Vampire. Morning Fun Tenderloin is good, and then okay, so there are a couple weaker numbers on the record, but all in all, it's good. It sounds good. It's very clean. Yes, the sound is kind of produced commercial, and it has their biggest hit. Overall, this is a record that I like a lot, but it's not in my top. Saying top 10 for Blue Oyster Cult, you almost have all their records, so it's not in the top 3. For sure, top 5 maybe. Next up is an absolute insane banger, Spectres. Man, when I bought this record, I almost melted my brain. I love it. This is such a good record. I can't have enough of it. It has some insanely good songs. Death Valley Nights, I Love the Night, Nosferatu, great song. The Golden Age of Leather, Searching for Celine, very good. Fireworks, amazing song, man. Great song. The only thing that detracts from it is the opening song on each side. On side 2, Are You Ready to Rock? I could do without it. I would have much preferred to put just the 4 songs that's already there and maybe play them a little longer. The one on the first side, Godzilla, is, if Don't Fear the Reaper isn't their most famous song, then Godzilla is. I mean, it's kind of like a stupid kindergarten song on one hand. On the other hand, they executed it very well with like the bass and that rhythmic guitar. And they have that segment in the middle when he speaks fake Japanese and talks to the emergency service in Japanese. Eric Bloom. So it's pretty funny, but I think it doesn't really fit the album. So most of the album is kind of like a darker mood, let's just say, with Fireworks, Nosferatu, I Love the Night, Death Valley Night. Golden Age of Leather, okay, kind of also lighthearted, but the music itself is very cool. And Going Through the Motions is also not bad, but it could be better. All in all, this is in my book one of their absolute best records, and I just love it. Next up, another live album, and just like its predecessor in live albums, this is so good that it almost qualifies being a studio record. And they unfortunately opened with Are You Ready to Rock, which they managed to make better live than it was on in the studio. ETI and a banging version of Astronomy. Kick Out the Jams, also another one that's not on any of their previous records. Godzilla, Don't Fear the Reaper, and We're Gonna Get Out of This Place, another cover, which is not on any of the other records. The only thing I don't like about this record is that it's only a single record. It should have been a double, but I think that they figured, well, we just released one 3 years ago. Who wants another one? And here ends, I think, the most classic, the most characteristic era of Blue Oyster Cult. So we're not going to see a Blue Oyster Cult like this ever again, unfortunately. So let's go back to England, where Uriah Heep have their own problems. After High and Mighty, the tensions in the band and with the band and management escalated. Hensley was becoming too much of the main writer. In a way, a similar situation to Judas Priest, but it came to the fore or to the surface earlier, right? And in Priest we had Tipton, who was a way better musician, songwriter, and experienced than the rest of the band. But on the other hand, you had K.K. Downing, who founded the band and spit blood to put the band together, and now someone else kind of becomes the leader. So similar situation. Hensley came in the band relatively late, relative to at least Box and the people who started the band, and now he was writing most of the material, and the management liked his stuff because his stuff was selling, so it was bringing in the money, and so on. And Byron was out of control. His alcohol and drug problem didn't affect the band that much in the beginning, but then he started to show up to rehearsals and concerts late, so you couldn't continue, and they were forced to get rid of him, sadly and unfortunately. And then of course they started searching for a new vocalist, and they brought someone in who's pretty unlikely, one relatively unknown, John Lawton. I had a brain fart there. John Lawton. Phenomenal vocalist. In my opinion, the best singer they ever had, yes, including David Byron. Great vocalist, and the vocals fit Uriah Heep well, with the caveat that we don't know how it would have fit the older songs, but in my opinion he handled them live very well. Another super important musician that comes in is Trevor Bolder, who is known as one of the Spiders from Mars with David Bowie. A great, very sweet melodic bass player who can do whatever is necessary. So you could drop in a metal band and he will do his job, and you can drop in something funky or disco-y, and that's how it happened with Uriah Heep. Very sweet melodic lines. And hate me all you want for this, but Firefly is my all-time favorite Uriah Heep record. It wasn't always like that, but it slowly worked its way up. The story with this record is that a friend of mine had it, a friend of mine who had enough of records in the late 80s, and he was switching to CDs, and there was one CD that he wanted very much, and I had, and I forgot, it's gotta be a Pink Floyd, because he was a mad Pink Floyd fan. And I think it was one of the solo albums, maybe Rick Wright. I don't remember exactly, but I had a CD that he wanted very much, and to make the trade more fair, I think I had to give him another CD. But anyway, so we switched, and I love this record. I love it from start to end. The opening, The Hanging Tree, is a banger. Been Away Too Long, very good. Who Needs Me, Wise Man, Do You Know Rolling on Sympathy. The only song that I don't like that much, ironically, is the title song. It's kind of a little bit drawn out, it lacks a little bit substance. They should have put a little bit more of a variation or a more musical part, at least towards the middle, or two, one closer to the beginning and one closer to the end. But not bad all in all. Cover illustration is not bad. So this is my number one Uriah Heep record. The next one I unfortunately don't have anymore on record, but it's one that I love almost as much as Firefly, and that's the follow-up, Innocent Victim. Actually, Innocent Victim is cited more often by fans as a big favorite. Of course, you have that crazy box riff, free and easy, Like if it was the only thing he ever did, that would have earned him a good spot among great riffers. But yeah, Free and Easy, a great song, and all the songs really on the record, if I remember. I mean, they have Illusion, another great one, the Dance, Keep on Riding, the opening, good record, almost start to end. So I'm sure there isn't a bad song on the record, but maybe I should have listened to it a little bit before I talk about it. And then you have Fallen Angel completing the John Lawton trilogy. Unfortunately, Fallen Angel is a step down from both Firefly and Innocent Victim. Not bad, not bad, but I think they tried to make like a number three in the trilogy. We had a Firefly, then we had an Innocent Victim, a Firefly number two, if you will. According to many, they will consider this an improvement. For me, it wasn't so much, but you can definitely say that it was a Firefly number two. And then Fallen Angel, they should have put a little bit more imagination, changed the direction a little bit more, which they did, but maybe not in the correct order or not in the correct direction. So it became a little bit poppier, a little bit more commercial, not terrible, but they sounded like repeating themselves a little bit. So the last song on the album is the title track, and the album is not really bad in of itself, but there's nothing that really grabs you. Come Back to Me is kind of like a ballad style. Fallen Angel is really the memorable song of the album. And again, Lawton leaves the band, or actually is fired at the end of the Fallen Angel tour. There's too much fallout between Lawton and Hensley. Again, two big personalities, two big egos, and two accomplished musicians and writers. And I think, I don't remember who it was, but some in the band were accusing the manager, Jerry Brown, of favoring Ken Hensley, which again, you can't blame him because Ken Hensley was the one who wrote most of the hits and bringing in the money. So anyway, there was a big fallout. Lawton was sacked. They had some other personal problems, personal and personnel problems there on that tour. So let's leave that mess behind and come back to I won't say a different, but a newer Blue Oyster Cult. We are still with the classic lineup, and they release Mirrors, which is being accused of the same thing as Uriah Heep's Fallen Angel, being too commercial. I don't necessarily accept it, or not wholly, but yeah, this record was produced and marketed in a more commercial direction or way. Dr. Music, the opener, this could be like the same song as Are You Ready to Rock from Spectres, right? But then you have The Great Sun Jester, which is kind of like a classic, typical BOC, mysterious, lot of changes, great musical variation there in the middle. And it just produced in kind of like a more 80s-ish. It came out in 79, but it had kind of an 80-ish flair. So they wanted to or someone in the record company or management wanted them to become more commercial. In the Not Bad, I think that's a single off of the record, Mirrors. I like the song actually, and Moon Crazy is also kind of like a light-hearted, keyboard-laden, if you will, more commercial-oriented song. The Vigil, great song. I Am the Storm should have been a harder rocker, but it's a fairly hard rocker. The one I was looking for, Lonely Teardrops. Yeah, I love that record. So the songs are good, but they've been maybe not botched, but compromised a little bit by the maybe overly commercial flair of the 80s production. Next up comes another one with relatively similar production, but done way more intelligently, or I'm looking for with way more taste, with way more tact. So Fire of Unknown Origin, another great one with plenty of classics. Of course, you have Fire of Unknown Origin, you have so many classics. Burning for You, Veteran of the Psychic Wars, great song. Heavy Metal, The Black and Silver, also kind of like a in concept, wanting to be a little bit more commercial light, but pretty hard kicking. And Soul Survivor is not bad. You got Vengeance, The Pact, After Dark, a nice kind of sweet, also Blue Oyster Cult minded. So great song, really no criticisms from my end. The songs are good, the music is good, they played good, they're composed good, they sound good. And yes, the sound is kind of 80s commercial, but not too cheesy. It's not like it's dripping cheese all over. But next up, you've got an album that for many, many years was my all-time favorite Blue Oyster Cult album, and it's still pretty close, but Tyranny and Mutations ended up knocking it off the first spot, if that even means anything. I used to see this record cover in record stores before I was very familiar with the band, and it always was kind of impressive. Whoa, monster, pretty imaginative, like half monster, half mountain, pretty cool. And I finally bought it, and man, was I not disappointed. Black Blade, a good opener, kind of like a straightforward hard rocker. I think they do that a lot on purpose, that they put something that's kind of more acceptable commercially. And I think that, in my opinion, Black Blade is the least good song on the record. And if Black Blade is the worst song on your record, man, you know that you've got a winner among winners. And this is definitely a very strong contender for being BOC's best record. It shed a lot of the commercialism of the previous two records. Monsters, a freaking absolute banger. I love it. It starts kind of like a fast hard rocker with a little bit of a funky feel to it, and then goes into jazzy stuff and goes back and forth, and there's like a funny story in the words. Divine Wind, not bad at all. Deadline has this very eerie kind of feel to it. The Marshall Plan, again, another story, another very well planned and executed song. Hungry Boys. Okay, Hungry Boys I could do. Oh, you know what? Hungry Boys, Black Blade is better than Hungry Boys. Let's give you that. Fallen Angel, also not super memorable. Lips in the Heels. An Unknown Tongue. My goodness, what a great... It's kind of Unknown Tongue reminds me somewhat of the last three on Tyranny and Mutation. Teen Archer and Mistress of the Salmon Song. Kind of like a very eerie, interesting... and the chords, how they play them, the riff, it's like really, really beautiful. The tone, the sound is very clean and clear and beautiful. So this is really a very, very good album. Big favorite of mine, if you will, my number 2 most favorite Blue Oyster Cult record. And after this, we are going to have another turn or another twist in the road of Blue Oyster Cult's long and tortuous history. They are going to release another album, Revolution by Night, which a lot of fans again accuse of being way too commercial. In my opinion, the record is not halfway bad, but a lot of fans look down on it, accusing it of being commercial and overproduced. But at any rate, let's go back to our friends Uriah Heep, who are on big upheaval. And I think in the previous segment, let's just say, I should have continued with Conquest after Fallen Angel. I forgot to mention that after Fallen Angel, not only Lawton was fired because of his run-ins, mostly with Hensley, but Kerslake also had enough. He had a lot of problems and accusations and complaints with management, so he picked himself up and left. And so we're pretty much down to Box and Hensley, who got a new drummer, Chris Slade from Manfred Mann's Earth Band, and who would become more famous when he joins AC/DC with the Razor's Edge. But anyway, they needed a singer. And here I think they made a way big mistake. They took one, John Sloman, who is not much of a singer in my opinion. He did fool me when I was a kid on Gary Moore's Rockin' Every Night. Freaking amazing live record. And on some songs he was trying to kind of imitate Glenn Hughes, who was supposed to be a vocalist with Gary, but it didn't work out. And so in the beginning he got me fooled. So he has some chops and he has some pipes, but overall he's not a good singer. He doesn't have a good stage presence. It's kind of a little bit awkward, a little bit like Tony Martin of Black Sabbath. It doesn't really have it naturally. You know, there are some people who just don't have that frontman character or charisma to them. And after Byron and Lawton, it just didn't go down well, and the whole thing was a mess. So they released Conquest, which by and large is considered their worst record, or one of their absolute worst. But it has some good songs, and it has The Illusion. It has the opening song. I forgot already what it's called. It has its moments, but it's not a good song. And after the tour, Hansley left. He was not happy with Sloman. He said it's not working out, and everybody left. And so there was no Kerslake. Kerslake left after Fallen Angel. So this band that fell apart, and Mick Box related in many years later in many interviews that it's out there that he got completely depressed and he went back to his apartment and got drunk. But then he decided that by hook or by crook he's gonna make the band work, and he called Kerslake, who agreed to come back. They found a vocalist, Peter Golby, who in my opinion was very good. Mightn't have been the prime choice for Uriah Heep, but he has pipes, he has a nice voice, and he fits kind of well. He doesn't have that stage presence of Byron and not even Lawton, but he was definitely better than Sloman, no question about it, both vocally and presentation wise. And so they rebuild the band. You got Box, you got Kerslake again, one of the old members, and they bring in Bob Daisley, a very well-known and respected bass player, and they release Abominog. Abominog, again, it seems like you can't avoid that. It is being accused of having that 80s commercial sound.